G. Gordon Liddy came, of course, to Pittsburgh to explain his doctrine that there's no such thing as binaries except the discourse of binaries. When Russia commits guerrilla acts, America should answer with superior guerrilla acts. And when China engages in Western methods to manipulate their own people, this is to be considered reprehensible. But when the West does it to manipulate their own people, this is to be applauded. And further, when they do it, we call it going low. And when we do it, we call it going high, and so on and so forth. So what we know from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is that going high is brutally torturing a deaf child. And there's nothing binary about it because the deaf child was horrified when accidentally he hit another child with a swing trying to recreate a trick that had been taught to him. He took the child who was injured by the hand, walked him up the hill to his house, put himself at the mercy of the parent, apologized, and explained where he could be found and who he was. And the mother was, of course, mortified by the black eye as he was, but sent him home. Well, that explains why they had dragged the child through glass, punched him in the face, chased him out of his home, poisoned him with nerve agents, threatened to kill him, pulled knives on him, told him to take off his glasses, made mysterious stories about him up. And they call this proof of his miracle working. In sarcasm, as they threaten to kill people he loves, as they've done in the past, whoever they are. And this we know to be overwhelmingly insightful. A postal union exercising the very most fibrous of mystical insights. And all of us can agree to that, right? So surely we know that they have gone high when, by taking responsibility for an accidental injury, the queerbait child had gone low. Now, what this has to do with the Ukraine albatross is that when they cleared the field, the University of Pittsburgh cleared the field, and they will call it Fern Hollow Bridge Field. They cleared the field of all but claims of the queerbait to being subjected to pedophagy. And Pink Floyd mothers came down in animation and peeked into the field to make sure he knew there was no place to hide. If he ran to Amnesty International to hide his face, poof, Amnesty International cried out, no hiding place. And behold, skeletal soldiers came up out of the ground, armed to the teeth with ripper knives from the back blades of the Green Party. And these skeleton soldiers samboed forth, holding doctrines of the NAACP, holding insults amassed by Cornel West's extrasensory spinner antenna on behalf of the white who tortured little Jimmy Queerbait, which is meaningless because he thinks he's special. And behold, across the fields of Fern Hollow Bridge field across the furrows and folds in the meadow were written the Excalibur secrets of Mark Nordenberg's administration. And they summed it up with one anvil, hammering and rock, the nature of reality. And the drums began. And Pink Floyd played the flugelhorn. And Russian combat ready men poured into Ukraine against their own better judgment. For behold, the miracle of Fern Hollow Bridge was going to out-harness all concern for global warming, all concern for climate change, all concern for earthquake response, all concern for COVID-19 protections, all concern for eco school retraining, all concern for clean water, for welfare, for public health clinics, for, for developing mitigation strategies and adaptations, for building back better from catastrophe. All concerns made way for the Fern Hollow Bridge's majestic assessment, the nature of reality. And before this, we must all bow. Well, you know the consequences. The British will talk sideways about you, and Bush will steam up the schizophrenics who know from a great many years of scientific research that Mobil Corporation is not just a model minority, but has genetic superiority due to the science of their corporation, the tax and spend science. Surely you don't think there would be all of those billionaires reaping harvests from Ukraine, Biden, Trump. You don't think there'd be those billionaires, do you? They weren't genetically superior. If the tax base didn't reflect their genetic superiority, if science didn't build the tax base through underground nuclear blasts that proved the genetic superiority. And Wattenmaker had a dog named Tito. And Hodge from Greenville had a dog named Yuri. And they were all neighbors of a Jewish community who introduced me to Gail Burston and Alice Shertok. All of them were neighbors, little cubby neighbors. Next to Yuri was the Shelley Friedman's daughter, right next door to Alice Shertok. And Wattenmaker and Tito also introduced me to Sharon. So it's a nice little cuckoo clan network of Pittsburgh Santoramites, and they all worship Penguins hockey. That's what makes them the Fern Hollow Bridge gang. You can't talk back to Penguins hockey. And they are overwhelmingly factual in their assessment, aren't they? Why? The queer bait taking the child in fear and trembling and horror by the hand, taking him immediately to his mother to get help for the injury, is like running from the scene of a Ripper homicide organized by Penis Gabriel, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We know that from genetically superior spinner beanies summoned by Cornel West on behalf of the white who tortured little queerbait. That's how we know.